Persecution against any identifiable group or collectivity on political, racial, national, ethnic, cultural, religious, gender as defined in paragraph 3, or other groups that are universally recognized as impermissible under international law in connection with any act referred to in this paragraph or any crime within the jurisdiction of the court. Enforced disappearance of persons. The crime of apartheid. Other inhumane acts of a similar character, intentionally causing great suffering or serious injury to body or to mental or physical health. All these are definitions of an unjust war or war. So can war be justifiable? Say that if you enter war, you are justifying your reasons for entering war. Thomas Aquinas was the first to develop a theory for just war in his book Summa Theologia or Theologica. The theory was later developed to give the conditions for justification for war. 1. Preventive war, to prevent imminent attack. 2. Crusade, to combat a great evil, especially one that may not otherwise be averted. 3. Defensive war, to defend one's own resources, country, or people after an attack. Like we see, whether it is true or not true, the Israelites and the Palestinians, or Ukraine and Russia. Standards of a just war. So if we are going to look at a just war, there are certain standards we must be able to look at. Jus and bellum, a right to war, or just in going to war. Is this justifiable that we go to war? Like we would see in the Old Testament about the people of Israel. They would first seek permission from God. Should we go? Should we not go? And in some cases, if somebody comes and attacks you for no reason because he wants to take your resources, then you have to defend yourself, what we call defensive war. Then there is the jus in bello. The other one was jus ad bellum. This is jus in bello, right in war. The other one was right to war. The right in war, what you do when you are in war, or just justice in the conduct of war. Conditions for a just war. There must be a just cause, moral and sufficient reason, that when you are talking to somebody, say, I was defending myself, or this is what happened to me. Secondly, right intention, not declare war for selfish interests. There must be a right intention. For example, if you are protecting your family, you are protecting your possession. Civilian immunity. Avoid targeting non-combatants, because normally we find that war is between combatants or militants who are armed and they have maybe what we may call sophisticated weapons, or they are trained soldiers and so on. So you need to avoid engaging civilians or attacking civilian habitations. Last resort, all other means for peace resolution must be explored before you engage into war. Probability of success. You must first evaluate yourself if there is a probability of succeeding when you engage in war. That's what we call high chances of success. Then proportionality. Bad effects not outweigh the good ones. The proportion, if we engage war, what effects, the bad or the good? Where you find that the bad outweigh the good, then you need also to understand. If you find that the good out of this war outweighs the bad, then you can engage. The critique of Aquinas is just war criteria. Is it ethical to fight a just war using immoral tactics? The other day we are asking ourselves about a well-civilized Europe engaging into a savage war, Second World War. And we believe that these were Christians well grounded in Christian morals. So how can you justify that a war was just using immoral tactics, using such a weaponry that will be destructive and so on? How do we choose the leadership to lead us in just war? Do you choose a secular ordinary leader, or you choose a Christian leader? What kind of leadership? How do we pre-estimate the success of a just war? You know, challenge of proportionality, good impact versus bad impact. How? So all of these things you see, they appeal to us and see whether we can really say that this is a just war. Today, wars are being fought in the world. I will not go very far. Let us take the case of South Sudan. In South Sudan, there are two warring tribes, or it is tribal war. And one side would say, we are justified to fight for our rights. The other one would say, we are justified to fight against. So each one has got reasons, but we are saying war and the fallen state of man has brought all these problems we are looking at. When man fell in Eden, the heart went wrong. Cain was the first to kill, to fight with no prior example, and no good reason to convince why he should have killed his brother. That was envy, jealousy, and enmity. And therefore it is the heart that has fallen and brings about wars. Pacifism is a theory that opposes the use of force, that is war, as a means of resolving disputes. Pacify people. Therefore, Christians opposed to war in all means are known as pacifists Christians. They look for the middle point to pacify the two warring sides. Fallen man is prone to hatred and envy and animosity. But war can never change the heart of man. When we talk about envy and jealousy, these are things that cannot be fired by the gun. The heart will remain even when you fight and win. We know one of the kings mentioned in the Old Testament, Jehu. Jehu was the anointed king of Israel to join hands with Elisha so that they can destroy the family of Ahab. But after he had done that, we are told that he became bloodthirst and he extended to even the people who were not assigned to him. So with the fallen man, there is that prone hatred. He's prone to hatred and envy and animosity, because the gun does not affect the heart. The man becomes more and more interested in achieving great names, achieving wealth and so on by fighting. And that's why you find that America does not want to sit silently. It fights wars, but indirectly, because it supports other nations, knowing very well that by supporting other nations, they will be able to exploit from them what they think is useful and helpful. Jesus is the only one who can change the heart of human persons. And therefore, as Christians, we need to think about what Jesus was preaching. Jesus' teaching on war, Matthew chapter 5 verse 9, he said that, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." The moment you find that you are destroying the peace of others, it would mean therefore that you are not a peacemaker, and you cannot be a child of God. You are an enemy. You can look at these children, they are all referred to as refugees. This is supposed to be the future generation. What would you expect is in their minds when they are running away from bullets, bombs and whatever, when most of them do not have parents to look to, when they are living in refugee camps with very, very little support, no education, no food, no nothing, what would you think they would grow up looking to? Refugee problems. A refugee is a person who is forced by threat or danger to leave his country or homeland for another. In case such a person does not cross his country's boundaries, she becomes an internally displaced person. Challenges faced by refugees. And as I speak, as we study, some of you might have lived as refugees in one country or the other, even here in Uganda. It brings family breakups. Some people cease to know where their family members are. Losing children to streets, if not by death. Poor standards of living, no education, no accommodation, no clothing, bad feeding. There are food shortages, less time and land for cultivation. If you want to see that one, lawyers and medics, you go and visit these refugee camps like Changwari, like Nachivare or Chinga. You'll be able to see these. We have environmental challenges, e.g., littering environment, outbreak of diseases, poor sanitation, inadequate social services, lack of schools, sexual abuse, e.g., rape, moral decay, e.g., vulgar language, shortage of accommodation, high levels of illiteracy, discrimination, loss of property, cultural erosion due to mixing up language and barrier. You can visit Chiliandongo, where we have international communities, and you will know what we are talking about, cultural erosion. Cases of high refugee influx in society today. Political intolerance, religious intolerance, like in Southern Sudan, where we have Islam and Christianity. Anarchy, general breakdown of law and order, e.g. in Somalia, then dictatorship. We have aggravated crimes like genocide, economic disparity, natural calamities, e.g. floods in Mozambique, and criminal tendencies. Epidemics like Ebola, Marburg, and others of the same nature. There is cultural rigidities, e.g. female circumcision among the Sebei. Punishment, you can see how that person is being punished, crushed by a vehicle with intention. It's kind of punishment. Others are flogged, others, there are so many different punishments given. So we want to say, what is punishment and what is it for? Punishment is being put under undesirable circumstances due to one's wrongdoing. And who punishes, by the way? Punishment is the authoritative imposition of something negative or unpleasant on a person or animal in response to behavior deemed wrong by an individual or a group. So here it is relative, because the individual who is giving punishment might be a wrong group or the wrong individual. Like we used to hear about punishments given by guerrillas in the bush. They did not have the moral and legal mandate to punish others, but because those members who were with them in the bush were members of the group, they made their legal system to punish. So punishment may not necessarily be for right or wrongdoing. There are main theories of punishment. One, retribution or paying back. Like we see in the Bible, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Pay back for what you have destroyed, to try to rebalance any unjust advantage gained by ensuring that the offender also suffers a loss. You steal somebody's bull, you pay it back. Another purpose is deterrence, to deter, to prevent. If a crime has been made, so you punish in order to deter. One is like what used to be execution. Somebody murders another one, then is executed. It is used as deterrence. Imprisonment is also another one, deterrence. Or caning, such a punishments. So it is a means to prevent people from committing offenses. It sends a message to others to avoid committing such crimes.